Welcome to another video by LSX Engines, Tuning, and Marine. In this video I'm going to be installing cam bearings in a second design GM 5.3 liter LS. It's called an LM7, but this is a LS style block. So in this is a follow-up video to another video I did on LS cam bearings. And so what we're going to do is put in a CH-25, which is 2004 up cam bearings, and they are wider than the earlier bearings. And so to find out whether you have a second design, first you measure the bore of your first cam bore, and I measured 2.346, which is exactly what it's supposed to be for a second design. So at this time I'm going to install the if you follow the lid on the box, it says 25.2 goes in positions 1 and 5, which are the two ends. 25.2 goes in positions 2 and 4. Did I say 25.2? I meant, let me back up. CH-25.1 goes in positions 1 and 5. 25.2 goes in positions 2 and 4, and 25.3 goes in position 3. So this is 25.1. So we're about to put the number 1 position cam bearing in on my. I have a cam bearing installation tool, and so we're going to hammer this one in. All right, we've knocked one bearing in, and what I was going to tell you or show is the small blocks have a groove behind this bearing all the way around, so you can really put the holes anywhere you want to. I've always put them at the hole at 2 o'clock. You don't want to put the holes down here because that's where the load is on the cam bearing or on the cam. But in this particular engine, your hole for oiling is right here where my finger's at. It's right in here. So you must put the hole right there, and that's approximately 4 o'clock. So when you look in here, you put the hole in the middle of the, if you look in here, you'll see a hole, and you put the hole in the bearing in the middle of that, on the hole in the block, and then hammer it in. And you see we got this one perfect because it's not going out past flush with the front of the block. But these are the wide ones, so they take up most of the cam bore. So that's the first bearing in. We're about to do 2, and on 2 I'll show you my co-worker or friend hammering these bearings in. This is actually his engine. This is the 5.3, and we're gonna put the number 1, 2, and 3. We're gonna knock out 4 and 5 because they have the old design in. Take that one out, and then knock 4 and 5 in later. So we're gonna fix to do 2 right now. So stay tuned for number 2. All right, we're about to hammer the number 2 cam bearing in, and I will videotape the process. So my friend's gonna hammer this in, and we'll see what happens. Go ahead. So the cam bearing is going in, easy. All right, stop for a second. All right, I just want to show you what he's doing with his hand. So he's pushing, there's a plastic cone that keeps this rod concentric. He's pushing the cone in with his hand. He's also lifting up on the, I always lift up on the aluminum rod so it doesn't sag. All right, so go ahead and keep going. All right, stop. All right, check the tightness of the spin the rod, see if it's tight still. Is it still tight?
Yes.
Okay. All right, go ahead and, yeah, I can see it. Go ahead and hammer it on in. Keep going. A little more. There you go. Stop right there. All right. So at this time, we can't see the bearing anymore. So what you do is you back your tool out and see if the bearing's centered in the cam bore, and if it's not, you have to hit it. I only hit it about 1 or 2 more times. We're using a heavy hammer, so I might just hit it once. So we're going to loosen up the tool on this side. Okay, so what we've done is we hit it till we couldn't see the bearing anymore, but it didn't go far. You can see it's sticking in the cam bore this far on this side. But on this side, it's got a little bit more to go. So we're going to hit it 1 more time, and then I think that'll center it up. And I forgot to show you how we mark the bearings. I'll show you on the next. We're going to do number 3 next, and I'll show you how we mark the bearings before we put them in. So we hit this 1 more time, and number 2 will be done. All right, we hit this number 2 bearing 1 more time, and it centered it right up. So you can see it's got a about an equal amount of bearing on this side of the bore as it does on this side. So that one's right in the middle. So that's another perfect bearing. All right, so we're going to install number 3, and I'm going to show you how I mark them to get them to orient them in the right position. All right, we're about to install the 3rd bearing in the number 3 position, and like I say, according to the box, number 3 position is 25-3. So you can see on here, this is 25-3. All right, so there's more to just in knocking these bearings in. You have to orient them in the right position. So if you look at an LS engine, there's a passage for oil. There's a oil gallery. There's an oil gallery right here. This is your main oil passage, and it leads right to that oil gallery. On the way, when it's drilled through here to the oil gallery, it also, you really can't see it, I don't have a good angle here, but it also puts a hole right here in this cam bore. And it's about probably 3/4 of an inch long. So you've got a window of about 3/4 of an inch there to get this bearing oriented right. So what you do is you must put the bearing in so this hole here is over that hole, is oriented so that this hole in the bearing is lined up with the hole in the block right there. And so what I do is I use my first bearing that I put in, which I did already. If you see the hole, there it is. There's a good hole right there. So that hole is lined up with the hole in the block for oiling. So I put this bearing in the same position that bearing, and then I make a mark with a Sharpie on the bottom. This hinge is upside down, so even though I put the mark on the top, it's really on the bottom of the bearing. So once I make a mark on this bearing right here on the bottom of it, we use that mark as alignment to make sure we're putting the bearing in the right position. All right, we're about to knock in the number 3 bearing, and you see I made a mark on it, and that mark should stay right in line with the bottom of the engine, and the F means front. So I've got the F in the direction of the front of the motor, and that's important because that helps orient the holes in the bearing in the right place. So about to tap in or knock in number 3. And one thing you have to be careful of is when you put this tool in, you want to make sure that the bearing's in the hole. If it's sitting back here, or if it's not in the right spot, and you hit it one time, you will damage the bearing for good. So you'll ruin the bearing. So you've got to make sure it's in there before you hit it on the first hit. And that's what we're about to do. So once we get started, I'll show the hammering in.
Ready, set?
Yep. All right, go ahead. So we're now knocking in number 3. It's going in pretty easily. And we get it, that line is right in line with the motor, the bottom of the motor. And you knock it in until it disappears, or till you can't see it anymore. One more hit. One more. All right, it's good. And by the way, if you knock it too far, you can always come back from the other side and knock it back. So you don't worry about hitting it too far. Just use your best instincts and hit it enough times so you think it's in the middle. All right, so now we're going to loosen up this nut on this end, take it back out, and see if it's centered. Okay, number 3 is now in, and we've got it pretty much centered in the bore. And one thing you can do is if you can take a flashlight and put it down in the bore there, and then look down through this hole. If you can see light, you know your bearing's in a good spot. We're moving on to 4 and 5. I'm not going to videotape those. They're done the same way as 3 and 4. 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to keep on doing. We're going to keep going and go to 4 and 5. Okay, we're wrapping up this iron block 5.3 LM7 with the CH-25 cam bearings. They all fit pretty easily. It helps to have a heavier hammer to get these things in. But anyway, the last bearing we did was number 4 here, and it was a little bit of trouble getting that in there. We had to put the bearing in first, and then feed the tool down into the bearing, and then put the tool down in there to get it together. So everything else went pretty smooth except for number 4, but we figured it out. So all of them in, and as you can see, there's a hole there, hole there. Trying to see it. There's a hole there. You can barely see it in the dark. Hole there, a hole there. So we now got all the bearings in the right orientation. So basically, I want to show this is you can put CH-25 bearings in a 5.3 second design block, not first design. This is a second design block. So it can be done, and Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.